Was okay. So we're heading to Atlanta. You got a meeting there. Well, you got two meetings there, as it turned out.
Yeah, yeah, I've got two big meetings. Um, we'll talk about. I suppose well, they would kind of run together, really. Um, the meeting with the business meeting was
Mm-hmm.
was fantastic. Um, they did, my guys in Texas, they did arrange it with the merchandising. I can't remember them all. There was a merchandising manager, there's one of the directors, one of the senior buyers. They were kind of interested in this, and my guys in Texas had obviously done a good pre-selling job because I had the right people in front of me. We'd that morning before the presentation, which was after lunch, but that morning we rehearsed the whole thing again. Uh, Absolutely rehearsed the whole thing again. I mean, you've got to be dead right. You've got one shot with these guys,
Yeah.
and you've well, you've got to be professional anyway, but you've got to be on the mark with these. This is really the biggest of the big boys games. So Home Depot, they provided everything I asked for. I'd asked for a big screen on the wall that I could connect to the touch screen, so everybody wasn't crowded around
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
little 14-inch screen. They did that. They provided all the equipment that they were fantastic. Very, very, very professional. And I was told we would have maybe he said allow, we said we were allowing about 20 minutes, about five. It wouldn't take much for the actual demonstration, but I hoped to get a bit more time with the questions and answers. And
Yeah.
and I knew, if I'd got a good amount of questions, then they were interested. If there was just like,
Yeah.
so how much are you talking about, Warren? If it was just that, then it wasn't going to be looking so good. Um, I needed some indicators that would come out in the questions and
Yeah.
the kind of things that I guess you just know. So I'd we done it in a particular way. So I'd said to them, gentlemen, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run through. This is always my idea of a presentation. Tell them what you're going to tell them.
Yeah.
Show them what you tell them what you're showing them, and then tell them what you told them. It's kind of quite simple, really, and it works. So I just said, gentlemen, we're going to let me just run this through one time, then maybe we'll have some initial questions, then we'll run through it in a little bit more detail, then hopefully you'll have a few more questions. So let me just start. And I'd already rehearsed what I was doing. Tap, 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 tap for doors, countertops, tap, tap, tap for sinks, tap, tap, tap for appliances. And then all of a sudden, that was it. I said, here we are. This based on what I've done, $60,000. It's taken us a minute. I said, that's $1,000 a second. This is what your staff are trying to sell. Because I picked up on what I'd been told the month before, that
Mm.
people were having problems selling at that level.
Yes.
And the room went quiet. And I thought, oh shit. And then the questions started. And then we did look at it in detail. And I was there over an hour. It was
Which must be
just
a nice big.
just brilliant to be there that long.
Yeah.
And they'd asked me, have you got any references? Where have you done this? I said, well, Magnet in the UK, Magnet, which they knew about, Magnet Kitchens. I said,
Mm-hmm.
they're rolling it out in all their new stores. I gave them a contact name and a few other things. And we said we'd be in touch and da-di-da-di-da. And they're talking about 160 stores. And I'm thinking, bloody hell. And this will be, So that was me done. Back to my hotel and I'm buzzing. And I got an email maybe half an hour later with a non-disclosure agreement from them. So they were serious. And I remember phoning my man in the UK, the guy at Magnet. And I said, how did somebody get hold of you? He said, yeah. He said, I just told him that, yeah, you turn up on time. You always do the job. It works for us. And that was it, really. So that was the start of a dream that I knew I probably knew I couldn't fulfill it. It was me taking on, not taking on, I don't know if I said, but what happens what happened with me with Home Depot, and I think it happens with a lot of potential vendors. You don't start with a junior buyer and work your way up. You start at a high level, and they do the filtering based on what they think the business needs. And if they think the business needs something, which is where I was, then you're on the snake. Then you go all the way down, and then you've got to work your way up through all the departments and type approval and procedures and all of the things. And I kind of knew that was me against the whole of Home Depot. And I just didn't know how we were going to do it. But you got to follow that dream and try and hope it works. So that's what there was the start of the business side of things while I was over there. That's what I was there for. And I think I'd fulfilled that side of the trip. The other side of the trip was lovely. So me and Rhonda, Miss Texas, we're in the same hotel. She's on her training course.
And you engineered that?
Well, we'd engineered that we were going to be in the same hotel, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I suppose I didn't need to be in the same hotel, but I thought it might be convenient and save us chasing around different hotels or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's on the training course. I'm doing my bits of work. I've always got something going on that I've got to follow, but I'd always be in the hotel room with the laptop switched on. It was always like on the dressing table or on a little table. It was just how I was, really. It was kind of always on. And I'd just be tip-tapping away. But then this one, yeah, I remember it. I have to say, I remember it really quite, as you would remember this. So the first day I was there, she did come up to the room and there we just spoke. Nothing happened. We were both knew that if we crossed the line, it was going to be a serious line. We were both married and we both knew we shouldn't be doing what we were thinking about. I know I certainly felt like that. And she was a bit the same, really. But yeah, the second day, I was out and about here and there, just doing stuff and then working in the room, starting thinking about what I was going to do at Home Depot, just normal stuff. But when she came up and I remember she took a wedding ring off and put it on the table, the dressing table. And I thought, okay, we're good. And we did. And she got in bed. We both got in bed and she said there was something about a condom or, I mean, I've had the snip, so it didn't, there was no chance of pregnancy kind of thing. And she said, I was just wondering, if you thought this was a bit dangerous. I said, I think what we're about to do is the most fucking dangerous thing ever. And it was, because once she was extraordinary. 100% woman, I'm going to say. And that was me done. And that was me done, sunk. But it was funny because on a training course, I met one or two of the I'm going to call them candidates until they pass out. They're not quite employees until they actually pass their course, But a day or so later, I did go down to the bar and we had just a little bit of a drink, one or two of them like that. Nobody was getting smashed. But when it came to the graduation, I mean, so Rhonda, she's already an experienced stewardess, cabin crew, flight attendant is the American name for it, a flight attendant. She's already experienced. And I think a lot of the younger girls that they just started, they looked up to her as like the kind of mother stewardess kind of thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, when it came to the graduation thing, they have a graduation ceremony and they can invite their partners. So, so Rhonda invited her husband. So that was really quite cool, actually. But the girls thought she was really cool because she got a husband downstairs and a lover hidden away upstairs in another room. It was something that was, yeah, anyway, that was pretty much how we finished. But that started the relationship in June of 2002. We developed through, she did work for Delta. She did have her staff passes. She could fly over to the UK quite easily for just 2 or 3 days. You
Right.
had to pay the tax, $45, I think it was then. And she put me down as a significant other. So I had the passes, I could fly to the States also. So it made it also. So we did that through the second half of 2002. And of course, I was working on the Home Depot project. So that gave me another reason to be over. Sometimes she come to the UK, sometimes I'd go there. But by the end of 2002, we were making plans to get together.
Yeah. There was, you did mention, I think it was on that meeting and everything, you went for afternoon tea, Southern style. What's the difference between Southern style and what you'd get in like London?
Um, I don't know, it was just the way it was done. There was some, it was a beautiful place, Callaway Garden. It was just gorgeous, very colonial styled on this huge golf course and on the Pine Mountain, I think, south of Atlanta. I don't know. It just, I think it was the whole thing rather than,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
not so much the egg sandwiches cut off. Yeah, we cut off crusts. It was just the overall thing was just it was just lovely and it hit the spot. I mean, it really hit the spot in terms of romance. It was. I'm not. Well, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm romantic. I never consider myself a romantic.
Uh, yeah, I would put you there was.
What's that?
Well, romantic. Come on.
Yeah, okay. So it was probably one of the most romantic settings, for that kind of thing. Anyway, yeah, that was it in terms of afternoon tea. It was ever so nice. Um, but that was it on that, really.
All right.
Uh, and then it flowed, by the end of the year, it was getting fraught at home because by then, my ex-wife, Christine, she knew I was seeing somebody. It was it was a total mess. It was my fault, and how people put up with me. Um, it was a horrible time, not for me, for everybody else, really. Um, and that led on to me. I moved out in March of 2003 to make a new
Wait,
life.
wait, that's in that so March 2003. This meeting was June 2002. You're talking about 9 months later.
Yeah,
I mean, you were married 26 years.
yeah. Not long been away for our silver wedding trip, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
And you
never,
said
I never
yourself,
saw this coming. That
yeah,
whole thing on the train,
yeah.
never saw it coming. I was like, yeah, no, that was the last thing. But once I don't know why I made that phone call. I'm not saying I don't know. Listen, we, well, I mean, it'll come out during these discussions that, we had a few tries, but we could never make it work.
Yeah.
And I kind of asked myself, what was it all about? I reflect on that quite a lot. I'm not
But it's
saying it was right or wrong.
you
Look,
said yourself.
huh?
You said yourself what it was about. You felt the spark that you'd never ever felt before. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
mean, like
but it
that's. I
was
think
that
that's
love
why you
or
made the phone call.
yeah, but was that love or lust? And that's what I kind of think to
Ooh.
myself.
Does it have to be
Yeah,
one or the other?
I don't know.
Isn't it? Could it be something else like excitement when
Oh,
you
there
look
are
at it?
all of the things.
Yeah.
There's no doubt, and this is not casting aspersions. She was diametrically opposed to who I was married to in everything. Um, no doubt about that. And all of the things, they're little things, but they all made it up into the whole.
Yeah.
Um, no, she was exciting. She was different. She was looked, I mean, stunning always. Um, uh, Smoked, drank, shot pool, whatever. Come with a Mustang, you know. I mean, the girl came with a 1966 Mustang, for goodness sake. There was there was a few stories around the Mustang, but yeah. So and there was an excitement, but it was wrong.
Yeah. Well, in fact, yeah, that's what I was going to ask as well, because like from June 2002 to moving out March 2003, to me on the outside, that sounds a bit impulsive.
Yeah, but how long can you go on? How long can you go on with a wife and a lover? It
Oh,
couldn't
you
go on
can't.
much longer.
No,
You
no,
can't.
no.
So that kind of answers the question, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and wouldn't it be marvelous if you can have a long term thing like that? But that don't work either way.